Hey, what's going on, everybody? Chris Mechanic here, your main man, host of 3 Minute Marketing, the world's highest value per minute podcast. We interview unicorns, growth marketing leaders, and we ask them one big question typically to deliver micro, bite-sized, snackable content for your listening pleasure. Today, we sort of flipped the script a little bit. We had a real A-plus marketer, like a real just master badass kind of guy. And so we totally changed the script from 3 minutes. So what you're about to hear is basically a 30-minute conversation. The fact is, when a guy like Larry Kim starts talking, you don't really want to cut him off because there's some real gems in this episode. Larry Kim, if you don't know him, he's the founder of WordStream, or was the founder of WordStream, which was a PPC, a Google Ads management platform. He grew that from basically zero, sold it for over 150 million bucks, built it to 300 employees. Then he went and started MobileMonkey, which is a really next level chatbot automation platform, which works across various platforms. I know Facebook, Insta, SMS. They tout themselves as the world's best, and I believe them knowing a guy like Larry. So what you're about to hear is a 30-minute conversation. There's some sheer value bombs in there. The original topic was, what are your top 3 marketing hacks for 2022 and beyond? And he takes kind of an unexpected direction and really delivers some interesting stuff. So sorry for flipping the script. I made an executive decision. I thought you would like it. If you do like it, if you like what you're about to hear, drop us a like, a thumbs up, a comment. We do enjoy reading those, and it also helps us find new members of our audience. So thank you very much. We appreciate you. And without further ado, take it away. Say hello, man. I've been a fan of yours for a long time. I followed WordStream. I thought that AdWords grader, like put your AdWords creds in here and let's integrate with your account and grade it, was like the most brilliant move almost ever.
It really made the company, like, we were like struggling with $1 million
I'm like, I saw that. I was like, shit.
business, and then that thing just kind of opened the floodgates to, actually like 70 million like the year before last. So,
Dude,
anyway.
that I thought was just, I was like, damn, because I remember running into you guys because we've been around for 12 years. I'm the co-founder here, by the way, at Web Mechanics. We're a performance agency, mostly Google ads, Facebook ads, some display, some native, and we do also analytics and conversion. But we've been around for some years. So I was following you guys in the early days. I think I remember seeing it when you first launched that, and I was like, damn. Never did swipe it at that time, but it would probably still work. I'm surprised. Did you get a lot of copycats on that?
It doesn't even matter. So the way we built it was just so good that no matter who tried to copy it, it didn't matter. It was just like we would do 50,000 reports per month. Okay, sure, you might get someone who tries to copy it, and they might get like a couple hundred, but like that just increases their interest in like this grading, and they would try this thing also. Like it's been run over 1 million times, and
wow,
it's all free advertising. I feel like we've gone full circle. I feel like when I started this work back in a decade or two ago, it was all about chasing, I don't know, AdWords or SEO or Facebook ads, and we've kind of been jumping from one hoop to another. But I feel like in general, the reason why digital marketing was so amazing was any company could just build a brand without having to have already been a brand. If that makes sense, because you could just,
so the barriers to entry are lower.
You could just have a like eBay, they just bought a lot of AdWords ads for 1 penny, or like Wayfair, they just bought 1 billion domains, like buyfurniture.com and all this stuff, and they just SEO'd the crap out of their website, and it didn't matter if Bob's Furniture was in the business for 50 years. You could just enter a market and dominate by just knowing how these things worked.
Yeah.
unfortunately, I think it's getting a lot harder these days to jump on these growth hacks, and they are nowhere near as leveraged as they used to be, and they are more short-lived. Like it's usually kind of exploiting loopholes and stuff like this. And so, when you ask me what's my favorite growth hack for 2022 and beyond, we've actually come full circle. It's back to building your brand.
I see.
Like, because Facebook ads, like, yeah, I love Facebook ads, but it's like about an audience that I used to pay 50 cents per thousand impressions is now closer, for the same audience, is closer to $200.
$200
CPM
per CPM.
You're going after like a particular audience, like you'll find that over the last decade things have gone up by 3-4 orders of magnitude. And so, the other challenge is that the organic algorithms for social and search have kind of really been updated so that you can't just pull an eHow. Like, you remember eHow? It was just like a bunch of SEO'd articles, and it was like outranking like the New York Times and all this stuff, like for, just because they had figured out a few loopholes. But now it's like there's all this machine learning and artificial intelligence into these algorithms that they don't even give you the chance to do that anymore unless you have a pre-existing brand. Like, there's all these new brand signals, like how many branded searches do you get? And if you don't have a ton of them, then it doesn't matter how many links you have. So I think
it's gotten a lot harder, basically.
So it's harder to fake it, like it's just like whether it's paid channels, organic channels, they've just gotten so much more competitive and so much more difficult. And so the question is, because you said 2022, how do you what's a growth hack that still works in 2022 and beyond? It has to do with do you know what the most discriminating factor of whether or not someone will click and buy from you is? Do you know what
follower count or engagement rates on a post?
It's whether or not they've heard of you before. So if they've heard of you, then they're 3 to 5 times more likely to click on your ad, 3 to 5 times more likely to click on your organic listing, 3 to 5 times more likely to open your emails. The email spam, like the email filters all work the same way. Like if you are opening, then it delivers to inbox. If it, no one's opening, it delivers to spam.
Right.
So this kind of like how we've gone full circle. It's like, it's not just that things have gotten so much more competitive. It's that the algorithms have evolved to quantify traditional brand signals as evident, as measured by people's propensity to trust and click and open and buy, and then to reward either paid or organic visibility on those platforms, like paid and organic social, paid and organic search, email marketing. Like, all of these channels all leverage algorithms to figure out delivery of the messages. And so the most leveraged thing that you could ever do to boost not just one of your channels, but every one of your marketing channels, paid and organic, across different channels, because they all kind of work the same way these days, would be to build your brand, because those are the people who are most likely to click and buy from you, which then gets kind of amplified in this virtuous cycle through Facebook, Google, and other social and marketing channels, like enormously so. Like, this is like not the early 2000s where everyone who blogs a little bit would get a little piece of the pie. This is more like Powerball, where there's 1 or 2 really lucky winners per industry, and everyone gets
Yeah.
So in terms of like, how do you go about building that brand? I think it has more to do with leveraging creativity than the traditional kind of mechanical loophole finding that we've been historically relying so much on.
Yep.
Like exact match domains or all these little loopholes that everyone's known about. Those are much more diminished, and what's more important is that you leverage creativity to come up with these memorable ideas that stick. And we were just talking earlier about the AdWords grader. Like,
right.
That's a 1 in a million idea. I mean, what I mean is, like, anyone could have done it, but no one did it. Okay.
Right.
And
right.
So this thing, holy moly, like it just tells you, like, you're the worst 10% of all the plumbers in the New York area, and you wasted $6,000 on ads. And by the way, the person who's managing your account hasn't logged in 120 days. Like, and things are trending badly, and then we keep sending you a report card like every month to show you how much worse it got. Like, so that's like really anxiety producing, FOMO. It kind of confirms a suspicion, like people don't want to learn a new product for how to manage their AdWords. They just want to know how they're doing. That's like, so we really figured out the psychological fear that every advertiser had, that so and so is wasting all this money, and to the point where 2 years ago when I left WordStream, that was doing over 50,000 report cards per month, and that's all organic. Like, if you search for the word AdWords on Google, it will rank for that word.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is, so how do you build a brand without having a brand? It's by leveraging, like, the power of creativity. That piece of software that we built was 3 guys, about 60 days work, and that made more impact than all of the work combined of the entire marketing team over 12 years. So it's just recognizing that there's an enormous leverage in the power of the idea. And
do you have any sense, you probably know, but do you have any sense of what WordStream pulled from that in terms of revenue, in terms of that 3 guys, 60 days of work, just top line revenue?
It was a total pivot. We were doing keyword research tools up until that point, just like, that was selling for $49 and had a customer lifetime value of 3 months.
Yeah.
And then suddenly we became a viable, pay-per-click advertising platform that was attracting the attention of, like, companies spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars in ads per month. It was just such a force multiplier. Like, it just gave our inside sales team perfect insights into who to engage with and who not to engage with.
Totally, man, that was so strategic. We did not mention this for those of you listening that do not know. Larry Kim, prior to MobileMonkey, was founder of WordStream, which he sold. It was in the hundreds of millions of dollars that you exited for, and I know you were spending probably $1 billion a year at one point, but it was a big deal. And it was basically, what he's saying is, it was all attributable to this one tool that they built called the AdWords Grader, which you had to integrate with your Google Ads account. And then it spit out not just recommendations, but psychologically derived recommendations, right? That made them go, oh man, this is urgent. I need to call now. It was so brilliant.
So, yeah, just wrapping this up, it's like, what's the biggest growth hack for 2021 and beyond? It's building your brand, building your brand, and building your brand. Why? Because this is the one thing that's gonna float all of your boats, like, across paid and organic channels, across email marketing, paid and organic search, paid and organic social. all the channels leverage machine learning to determine engagement levels, and engagement levels are functionally determined by brand affinity. Okay, and the second point is just to say, how do you build your brand? Then, well, it's in recognizing that not all ideas are equal, and that you really need to audition a lot of different like wacky ideas, find the unicorn, so the outlier, so like the top 1 or 2% of ideas, which by definition, if you're just randomly guessing like ideas, you would need to try 40 or 50 or 60 different ideas to kind of have a good probability of finding that outlier, and then going all in on that.
Yep. So we're going totally off script because this content is so good. Like I mentioned, we're gonna just totally flip the script as executive producer, whatever, gavel. So 3 minutes is out the window with this one. But I want to talk about several things really, but just on your last comment about generating various ideas. You mentioned something that was like, hey, if you're just randomly generating them, then it's this. But if you're doing it strategically, then it's that. What does that process look like for you guys? How are you generating not just random, but actually potentially useful ideas, and then actually testing them in market to see if they work?
So all marketing starts with a campaign, some angle, something that you believe that people will react to. And the problem is every marketer thinks like the definition of whether or not a campaign is good or not is like how much they like it. Okay.
Right.
But in reality, it's not how much you love your marketing campaigns. It's how people respond to it. Okay. So that's number one, is you have to have this kind of external view of kind of campaign quality, if you will. It has less to do with your personal biases and opinions, and more about how the universe, like a low click-through rate and a low conversion rate, is the universe is telling you that the idea that you are so in love with, like, isn't
right
thing at all.
Yeah.
And the second thing is you would so be open to kind of that your ideas aren't as good as you think they are. Okay. Secondly, it's benchmarking. So all like we managed tens of thousands of accounts, and that AdWords grader got run over a million times. So the average conversion rate, whether you're selling software or retail products or whatever, it's around 2.3% roughly. And if what we found is, like, if you're in the top 10 percentile of an industry, you can actually get those closer to like 5 to 7%. And if you're in the top 3% of the industry, you can get those conversion rates, just like web conversion rates, up to 10-15%. Okay. So
that's presumably attributable to the portion of branded traffic as defined by, like, they've heard of you.
It has
or no?
That plays into it, but like there's just some ideas that are awesome and some ideas that are just not that remarkable. And for my own business, are up until the advent of that AdWords grader, like the offer was sign up for a free trial, which is like, now that I think of it, it is totally unremarkable. Like that is
right.
an offer that every other bloody, software company does. Right. Why did I pick this? Well, because that's what everyone else is doing. All right. So what did it convert at? 2.3% or whatever. It was totally unremarkable. And then we got stuck for like 2-3 years, just like, oh, what do we do? Do we, change the forms or change the videos and stuff like that, and then
add more credibility,
more social proof, exactly. Right. So like, and then it occurred to me, well, maybe we should just like throw out the whole thing and come up with a different offer, like forget a free trial and just go straight with a grader. And there were some signs that was kind of what people were really looking for. And like, because it would come up on other people's people's like discovery calls where people just wanted to know. They were less interested in learning a new software for 5 hours and
Right.
more interested in just kind of a quick assessment of where the issues were. So just
features versus benefits, classic, right?
so just I think your question was, what does that look like? You have to just have this brutal honesty of throwing out ideas. The problem that most marketers do is when an idea fails, they think like, okay, well, it failed. Let's spend another $100,000 on ads and see how it does. And I'm like, really? If it didn't if it didn't work in the first $1,000 of ads, it's not going to work any better or any different with an initial 99,000 in ads.
Yeah.
Okay? It's same thing. Like it works across different channels. Like, let's buy another list and send out this crap offer to another 10 times more people, and it's going to do equally as bad.
So would you say, because you said something kind of interesting about just totally flipping the script, would you say, like, is one of your idea barometers, like, is this more toward the radical side or more toward the boring, everybody else is doing it side? Like, is that something you use in your mind?
So I would describe it more as local maximums versus global maximums. So when you're making small changes to the offer that you already have, sure, there's certainly a possibility that things could get better or worse. There's always risk of that these well-intended edits actually make things worse. But sometimes you need to kind of step out of that reality and say like, well, no, wait a minute, like no matter what I do, this is just putting lipstick on a pig. What I really need to find is a better offer, like something, because that's where the leverage is. It's in sort of the, how does that offer captivate the imagination of the target audience, so that involves like really rethinking, inverting, some kind of a major
reinventing, right? Hey, one last question before we wrap. I want to be sensitive to your time, but in terms of the first part of your main message, I think is like, look, the algorithms are now geared at finding traditional brand signals, which consists of lots of stuff, right? Probably conversion rates and engagement rates and on and on. But could there be a little kind of hacking if one were really familiar with the different algorithms and knew what those signals were, to kind of index toward getting those signals? Like, for instance, if social engagement, is a key signal, then, maybe your hook or your new offer might be geared at virality, for instance, to try to generate more of that metric. Do you think about that at all? Or do you want to just go less granular channel by channel and just find something?
Look, there's absolutely ways to fake brand signals, okay?
Or not fake, but to emphasize certain ones that you believe are.
There's absolutely ways to engage in marketing in such a way to generate kind of the expected brand signals. I don't want to spill all the beans here, but like,
that's okay.
But one of them is like, you need to get people to search for your brand terms more, okay? Like, because if that is trending up, then you're a bigger brand. That's a brand signal. Okay, so you're gonna have to put your thinking caps on. Like, how do I keep for my name more? Okay, I'm not giving all the secrets away, but like there's other ways you can gain.
We can cut that out if you want.
Well, I'm saying that there's remarketing, I think, is actually a very leveraged form of advertising. Like, if you think of all of advertising, because you're kind of helping people recall, who you are, like those web pop-ups that everyone says is so annoying, I actually think are remarkable at keeping people from bouncing. Okay, which is one of these, time on page and engagement is also one of these signals that are leveraged by.
Dude, I could talk to you forever, man, but I know you probably have a hard stop. Two very quick things. One, will you come back sometime?
Sure.
Awesome. And then second thing is, would you refer us to somebody that you admire as a badass unicorn marketer that would join?
Yeah, I would recommend Neil Patel. He's pretty good.
That would be awesome. That would be great. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to keep talking to him, but I want to let him go. Larry Kim, the one and only. We didn't even really mention MobileMonkey at all, but I believe wholeheartedly that it is indeed the world's best uh, chat app for Facebook, Insta. Let the folks know how they can find you, how they can contact you, or
Sure, direct message me on Instagram. It's Kim_Larry, and yeah, I have that on my phone, so I see it right away.
Yep. And MobileMonkey, is there any particular vertical or industry that it works best with? I know that we've tested it in financial services with a lot of success. Is there any particular space you're targeting?
So MobileMonkey, it's a chat automation platform for SMS texting, web chat, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram messaging, etc. And businesses that are selling to consumers, like B2C, like that's overwhelmingly kind of who our customers are. And if your end customer is a consumer, you really need to be thinking about how to reach these people on the messaging channels they use every day.
Yep. So go to google.com right now and search for MobileMonkey.
Don't go to the website directly.
Yeah.
Do it first.
Right.
And click on the listing, please.
Awesome, man. I really enjoyed having you, really enjoyed meeting you. If there's ever anything that myself or Web Mechanics can do for you, please don't be shy to ask.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right, man.